Okay, so for our second simulation, we are going to run a multiple choice quiz. So I want you to work in the same Google Sheet, and we're going to add a sheet by pressing the plus on the bottom. And then we're going to name, double click, and we can edit the name of the sheet, and we'll call it, we'll just call it the quiz. And we are going to, first column is going to be trial, like it was for the other simulation. And let's run 20 trials. So we'll do 1 and then a 2, highlight, and then you drag that down, which is calling filling down, until 21, because that'll give us 20 trials. And then we are going to fill in 20 question quiz here. Actually, let's make it 10 question quiz. So question 1, question 2, and we'll do 10 questions. And we'll see what happens if you were to guess randomly. If there's 5 options for each question and you just guessed, how would you do on this quiz? Maybe you've had that thought once in a while when you're running a quiz and you don't feel very confident, and you think, oh, what if I just guessed every answer? How would that go? So to simulate this, instead of just picking between 2 numbers like we did for the tossing a coin between heads and tails, and we are going to use a different formula for this one. We're going to use equals int, so that's integer. It's going to, and then we're going to say randomly pick an integer. You put some closed brackets after the rand, and then this is a times symbol, or shift 8, 5, bracket, plus 1. And that's going to randomly pick an integer. I just don't know why so that's going to randomly pick an integer between 1 and 5. So we are going to fill this formula down. And then we are going to fill it across as well. Fortunately, you can't go diagonally. That would be nice if you could. But it won't take too long to just either fill every column down or fill every row over. And this will be like you just randomly guessed on every question. 5 options, A, B, C, D, or E. And then we're going to see how well you would have done. Would you have passed? Right, that's the biggest question. That's probably what stopped you from trying it for real, is not knowing if you'd pass or not. And you see a variety of answers because the spreadsheet is just using the formula to randomly pick an integer. Okay, question number 10. Now we can see how we did. So now we just need to count to see how often we got the correct answer. So what we're going to do is we're just going to assume that 1, or option A, was the correct answer in each question. Since it's random, we don't actually have to make up answers. We can just assume, you have a 1 in 5 chance of being right, so let's just assume that 1 was the correct answer in each question. So we're going to use that COUNTIF function, equals COUNTIF, and then we want to count to see if how many times the 1 popped up. So you're going to type in cell COUNTIF bracket B2 all the way over to K2, because we want it to be that row, and we are going to count if there's a 1. So in quotes, put the 1 end bracket, and that will tell us, in this case, we got 2 answers correct. I can do Control Enter to autofill the rest of that column, or you can click on that first cell and drag it down. Let's title this column Number Correct. And remember, this is out of 10. Just to make my columns a little easier to read, I'm going to bold them and center them. Now, when you did that, you saw the numbers change. So what I need to do here is, if you don't want your numbers to keep changing on you, if you don't want the experiment to keep running, you highlight. So I highlighted all 10 questions for all 20 trials. And then I'm going to right click and hit copy, or you can go to edit and hit copy. And then you're going to right click or go to edit, and you're going to pick paste special, and you're going to paste it as values only. And so what that does is it repastes those cells as the actual value, so there's no formula anymore, and then we won't keep rerunning the experiment. This is our experiment. This is if we guessed on every question how we would do. And then, so you can see we passed once, it looks like. One time there was 5 out of 10. A bunch of times we got 0%, so not very good. But what would be nice is to do an average score to see on average how we did, right? But looks like best case scenario was 5 out of 10, and worst case scenario was 0. For you, maybe you got a 6 or a 7 out of 10. You know, the chances are there, they're just less likely. So over here, I'll do a title of average. And then to figure out the average, I'm just going to type in a formula of equals. And I can type in the average formula. And it suggests that it wants to do the row, but we don't want the average on the row. We want the average on the column. So we're going to go bracket L2 colon down to L21. What's also neat is if I backspace that, after the bracket, I can also just click on the one I want, and I can drag down for how many values I want to be the average to be taken of, and then end bracket. That also works. But L2 colon L21, and I get an average of, I don't want to autofill, so don't do that. I get an average of 2.35. So 2 out of 10, or 23.5% is how we did. So you'll have a different number because it was all done randomly. What I want you to do is add a note. So insert note, and you're going to type in the average on the test. Mine was 23.5, but you might have a different number. And then you're either going to say this is what I would expect, because this is the results I would expect, because, and give me a reason. What do you expect it to be? Or if you got something you didn't expect. So this is not the results I would expect, and give me a reason why. And that's the end of that simulation. But now you know what your options are if you decide to guess on every question of the test.